Mr. Jarrett Allen in the building.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
The latest member of the Young Man and the Three family. We're going to get into a lot of non-basketball stuff. But before we get into that, we were just talking about you got a chance to play in this crazy 15-0 start. You got a chance to play against my former co-host, co-owner of this company, who is now coaching a team in Los Angeles.
Right.
And so before we get to everything else, I think we should start with that experience, what that was like.
Crazy experience knowing I was on a podcast with him less than a year ago, and now he's over on the sideline coaching people, telling them what to do. Two different sides of what I thought I'd see him doing.
What did you think about his temperament?
He's a coach now, so he has to be more serious, but it's just normal coach temperament. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he got his first tee the other night, which is
a
big milestone. We have a lot of basketball stuff to get to, but with you, you're like, no hyperbole, one of the most fascinating people, I would say, in professional sports, just with all of your different interests. Okay. And we got into some of that a little bit on the previous time when you came on in the spring. But like, I'm just kind of curious because we haven't got to sort of hang out today before you got here because you guys just got in. Like, what have you been spending most of your time on recently that's not basketball?
I'm reading a whole lot again. Last book I finished was The Lord of the Rings. Just finished the whole series. Took me forever to do.
Had you done any of them before?
No, haven't seen the movies, haven't seen anything about it. But now I'm like, now it's time to watch the movies, extended cut, do all of it.
So you did all the books, and then you're about to run through. What was the onus of even starting this project? Because it's a very daunting process to run through this whole gauntlet.
So before I read all the Harry Potter books, I didn't see the movies or anything.
When was that?
That was 3 years ago.
Okay.
So it was like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. Now I got to find another series to read, so I'm just trying to go through like the most pop culture things that I can find.
You didn't do any of these? You didn't think about anything when you were younger?
No. Didn't really know stuff like that was out there.
We've talked about it before, but you love Zelda.
Yep.
And you still do.
Still do.
What was the process of like finding a game like Zelda, but then not that they're directly comparable, but you've always been like a very sort of curious person when it comes to, other worlds. So it's like, I'm just kind of surprised you never got into these. It feels like it was a natural fit.
Yeah, no. Growing up, I was a big cartoon guy. Cartoon Network all night, Adult Swim, all of that. That's where I grew up on. Didn't really watch movies and stuff like that.
Do you agree with Zion? He said it to me before. I don't know if he said it publicly. He said that like 85% of the NBA likes anime. You think that that's true?
I believe it. At some point in our lives, we watched anime.
Is there what percent? Okay, so here's the better question. What percentage of the league knows, in your mind, knows anime? Not as slightly familiar with anime. Knows
anime? I don't know anime anymore. Like I used to watch it when I was younger. I think the percentage is less, but if you ask people around the league, have you watched Dragon Ball Z? I guarantee you 90% will say yes.
You're getting
I guarantee you.
How do you juggle your band, your mental bandwidth? Everyone has their own question with this, with the cell phones and the screens and everything. But just like, you're off to an all-star season. You've made all-star teams before. It's the NBA schedule is not for the faint of heart. BJ sitting back there. It's like you guys are on a plane every day. You're on a bus every day.
Every day.
So just even managing your bandwidth of like, I'm about to go attack Lord of the Rings while I got to get ready for Boston tomorrow night.
Right. For me, it's easy. I've learned over the years, for me, the more I disconnect from basketball, the more I can reconnect later. So like if I'm like in my own world, reading Lord of the Rings, playing the new Zelda game, I feel like the next day I can come back even stronger to focus on basketball.
It was like that. Was it like that growing up?
Yeah, honestly, growing up, I didn't realize basketball was such a big thing. You know what I mean? Like, I just played basketball when I was younger. I didn't realize like people put that much into it.
People cared that much about it.
Yeah, exactly.
When did that flip? Like, when did you actually? When you were like, I can make a bunch of money doing this.
Probably like junior year of high school, going into college. Like, I didn't realize.
And you were just kind of like, all right, well now, but did that change? Like, I was meaning to ask you this, like, even your attention to detail when it comes to film, and attention to detail when it comes to the game itself, which you have to be in the NBA, much less operate at the level that you're having. Did that change at all? And also, do you think that any of that came from your attention to detail on other things?
Ooh, that's a good one. The attention to detail definitely grew. Like, I definitely didn't watch film. High school, college, you obviously start watching film and doing all of that. NBA, take it to a whole nother level. But yeah, maybe I guess because I pay attention to other things that might help basketball.
I just think about this. I think about like the baking.
Yeah.
And like I don't even know if you're still baking. But like when you're like the attention to detail to making like a sourdough bread or something like that is not normal. Like most people can't do it.
It's not hard though. They literally list it out on the paper what you do. You measure it and put it in.
But you have to have with some of these things. I mean, like talk about like building computers, I would say even more so, but you have to have a level of, I would say, following orders, but then also it's just focus. But I guess it's interesting how you describe that about you being able to turn back in. And so once you've been out of it, you have the ability basically. Is that a thing? So like tomorrow, like on a game day, walk sort of everyone through like what that looks like.
Right. Let's see. Wake up around 9:00. Bus leaves 9:45 for shoot around. Shoot around 10 to 11. Get back to the hotel 11:30. Grab food, eat. Probably take a pregame nap every single day or every single game. Pregame nap around 12:30. Wake up around 3. I guess I go back to sleep. It's not really a nap, 2.5 hour nap. And then leave for the arena around 4:30 and then game time.
And are you reading at any point, or is reading on not on game days?
No, I'll read like when I wake up from the nap before I leave for the bus. Like I'll open up the blinds and like sunlight helps me wake up. So I was just sitting in front of the window with the blinds open, just trying to soak in sunlight.
Did you ever do any sports video games?
No, I didn't like sports video games. The only one I did was 2K12. And the only reason I got it because I was hunting for achievements. That was the only reason I played it.
How long did you stick with it?
The achievements in that game, I know I'm getting technical, but I do not like multiplayer achievements.
Oh, so did you figure that out in real time?
Yeah, and it's just like, it wasn't worth my time.
That's the only game that I'm curious whether you would, that people love, that I'm curious whether you would like playing is the new college football. People are obsessed with it. And I think in part just because of the different tasks that are in it. Like you got to recruit, you got to deal with the boosters, you got to do all kinds of stuff that is not like playing in the game. But I do think it's interesting. I think it's funny. Like Mikal Bridges is like this. Like with sports games, he's sort of like you are with some of the other games in terms of like he's playing all day long.
Right.
And he's playing MLB. He plays like a full 162 game season of MLB The Show. He does this with like a lot of things. And it's like, but this is his way of relaxing.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Everybody has their own way.
Yeah.
But 162 games, that's a lot of, it's a lot.
It's a lot of baseball. Is there a piece of tech you are most excited about right now?
I'm big into electric cars. Like just...
You have one?
I do. I have a Tesla. Had it for 5 years now.
Which one?
Model X. Yeah. But I'm
You Cybertrucker now?
No, I'm not a Cybertruck guy. I'm so attached to my car right now. It's not even funny. But just all electric cars. Like what Lucid has a car, the Lucid car, BMW. Literally everybody has a car right now. I'm just fascinated by that.
What's your feeling on the self-driving stuff?
I'm for it. I think there needs to be rules in place and like it needs to grow a little bit more, but I love the idea of it. Is there
this might be a controversial question, but is there a piece of not like even specific tech, but a thing in the industry right now that is hyped up that you're not a believer in?
Not really. I feel like we're kind of going towards the AI range. I think there's a great place for AI in this world. I think when it comes to like art and like stealing other people's like passions like that, it's a little gray area.
Yeah.
But I think like if you want to ask for like tips on how to code or how to do homework, I think there's a perfect place for that.
It's really funny. I was actually thinking, we took the train up here, and I was thinking this in the train up here about AI and basketball, because there's going to be so many. There's gonna be so many impacts of it in like coaching and in film and things like that. But I'm like curious, and it's hard to say this like right now, maybe, but I'm curious whether you've already sort of looked into this, like AI as a player.
Right.
Like how is there any world where it will affect your, even like your training or anything like that?
The only thing I can see AI doing is like you have cameras and you're reading how far people are running and how like they call it your load management. You know, that's the big thing. And having computers tell you how much you need to recover, how much food you need to intake of this vitamin after you play a game, like having that read it for you. Yeah. That's the only thing I can see.
This is going to be a fun sort of process, because I feel like you'll be 6 weeks from now get a call, right? You're like just go, and then the question is just going to be like, do you tell anyone about it? Like you might have the answer right now, and you're like, I'm good. Right. I think that this is not everything needs to be for public consumption.
Right, like I'm coming up with all these codes for AI.
You're like, no, I don't think AI has any impact on basketball.
All of a sudden, my stats go up like 5 points per game.
You're like, oh, the Cavs have won 81 games this year. You're like, definitely nothing to do with
what's going on.
Speaking of that, because I know that there's a lot of excitement around the team. We're taping this Monday night in Boston. Obviously, big game tomorrow night. It's 15-0.
Yep.
Second offensive rating, top 10 defense, top 10 pace. You had to have high expectations going into the season based off the talent and everything like that on the roster. But like this, were you expecting this?
You know, everybody wants to say, yeah, you expect it, but nobody can expect a 15-0 start. You know, it's just in this league, everybody is expected to lose a game eventually, just statistically. But I knew we were good. I knew we had a great team, but to put together a 15-0 stretch of games, it's incredible.
Yeah, and especially with guys, I mean, we were talking about Donovan not playing in Charlotte yesterday. Like, it's not like everyone's been out there all night. It's sort of normal, wear and tear that NBA teams have.
Right. Yeah. What Donovan missed the game, the Charlotte game, Evan was out the game before that. We're just playing basketball, and it's just working.
What do you think now in the second run? What is it about Kenny in particular that you think just makes him so effective?
One, he's personable. Like, I'll start with that side of things. Like, Kenny's just a good dude. And like, funny thing, whenever we do a film session, we always start with something funny. Like, like whether it's a play that happened in the game, whether it's making fun of one of the teammates, we always start with something funny to get everybody to laugh. And that just makes everything so much easier going forward. And like the basketball side, it's just, he's a genius on that side. Like, took out all the starters against the Chicago game when we were over there. And we went on like a 10-0 run. The best strategy is to take all your starters out. And he went for it.
Just like instinctually mapping out like the next steps, which you want your coach in really any sport to be doing, is to be thinking that way.
And it's working.
What is there anything, well, I guess even specifically with the film session, which is hilarious, but like, is there anything that you feel is like different from the Brooklyn experience with him in particular?
He's more relaxed. I think that was his first head coaching job at Brooklyn. Yeah. And it's like, it's a hard job, and I understand. And now, like, after Brooklyn, he went to the Clippers and then he went to Golden State, and he just gained so much more experience and probably just trust in his confidence and in his ideas to propel us forward. Like, it's a noticeable difference.
Your pace, saying it's top 10 in pace, and your pace is way up in general. How much do you think is is just like healthy Darius versus a coordinated, we're trying to, move and run faster?
I think it's both. Like, obviously every team, like every single year, we want to be the top 10 pace team. I'm sure everybody says that. But I guarantee you every team says they want to be top 10 in pace.
Like, shoot a bunch of threes.
Literally.
Top 10 pace.
Ever since, 2012 when the Warriors started doing that, every team was one of the replicated.
I wasn't too bad. I want to be the slow. I want to be bottom 5 in pace and shoot no threes.
I guarantee you don't hear anybody say that. I guarantee it. But no, DG, incredible this year. Last year he got hit in the mouth, broke his jaw. Yeah, I guess here, and completely different player now. I think it's incredible.
We were talking with Joakim Noah earlier today, who loves Kenny. Obviously, he's known him for 25 years, and he was talking about Darius and the floater game in particular. And he's shooting. I looked it up today. He's like 79, 80% on floaters all year, and I'm like. Wow. I guess my question for you on that is, and we were talking about this with Joe as well from his experience defending them, but like as his teammate, just knowing how hard that particular shot is to shoot at a 50% clip, much less like an 80% clip.
Right.
What do you see when you see him doing it? And then not like how would you defend it, but like I kind of like what are defenders supposed to do if a guy is be able to stop on a dime and shoot at that percentage on that kind of shot?
I mean, what are you supposed to do? It's not like you can do anything.
Yeah.
Because do you know how demoralizing it is as a big to like jump up and contest the floater every single time and him make it? Like that just sucks. And he's making it at a 75% clip. That's awesome. Yeah.
As a guy, and we've had him on the show and he's a great person and everything like that. But just like seeing, and you guys have talked about this and like you've talked about, Donovan's talked about it in post-game stuff, like seeing this for him after just like having a banged up year and having a year where, you have a lot of outside noise and stuff like that. Like how happy are you just as like on a personal level as a dude to be like, we always knew how good you were. Now everybody is like getting to see it again.
Yeah. I'm super happy for him. I'm gonna say this one thing about this league, you can have one or a couple bad stretches of games and they'll write you off completely. But when you have people on the team who know how good you are, it's one of those like, yeah, we told you guys, like, this is the dude. Like, this is an all NBA level guard that we have. And it's like, you're finally coming back to see how good he is. And you should have never left in the first place.
Have you ever had that point in your, because you've been so consistent and I'm trying, I mean, you would know this, but like, have you ever had a point where you felt like people were giving you that?
Oh yeah. When the lights got too bright.
That's because you said it.
That's what I said. I think it's hilarious. That whole thing is so funny to me.
What was was it in the post game or was it?
No, it was like once we lost the series, you go back home and you do the closing presser. And then I was like, I don't remember the question, but man, I thought I was like, I had a good analogy, the lights were too bright for everybody. I still think it was good. People ran with it. So be it.
I think it's just funny. That's one of those examples sometimes of like, it's all media, but it's definitely all sports media where sometimes people don't want you to be honest.
Right.
Like you just being honest and they're like, no, like you're bad for saying what you actually think. It's like they want you to give them the cliche.
Right.
And by not giving them the cliche, it becomes like...
It's a meme. It's a meme. But for me, I'm so happy I got my meme. Like, I don't know where I'll go from there. But when I look back on my career,
you're like, you already got it.
Yeah, I have my one shining moment.
You're like 6 All-Stars, a couple championships. You're like, I still got those.
The lights were still too bright.
It's going to be like a t-shirt.
Yeah, the t-shirt.
Speaking of both floaters and then also, a guy, not that he's been written off, but a guy that's had a lot of bad luck with the injury stuff, Ty.
Yeah.
Greatest dude. See him later tonight. He's been hooping.
Right.
Like he was hooping last night.
Yes.
And he's shooting 57% from 3. Yep. He's leading all advanced stats. Every advanced metric he's leading you guys in and he's just basically been like a revelation. He's a guy that people were not talking about coming into the year.
No.
Just what are your thoughts really on him? And then also just on all the guys, like, Dean, you can go down the list. We could literally go down the list and name all these guys coming off the bench who basically every single one of them is stepping up all the time and just being a part of that where you just have this kind of like, you got like the cavalry constantly.
Yeah, literally. First with Ty, like it's amazing what he's doing. I didn't know much about his play style. So like last year, training camp, he was like showing out. He was doing so good. I'm like, oh, damn, who is this guy? I'm not really good with NBA names. And it's like, oh, this guy's hooping.
This guy's really good.
This guy's hooping in training camp. I'm like, all right, it's good to have him, And then he gets hurt at the beginning of the year and has to sit out. And it's like, just never got to actually see him play, never got to see him contribute to the team. And then this training camp, he was just going off, hitting threes, his slow step, the signature slow step, doing everything. And now it's translating completely to the season. It's incredible what he's doing.
You've now been in this spot enough, just in different locker rooms to. We always, this is kind of cliche. We always talk about like knowing your role and like, and not staying in your lane, but knowing what you bring to each team and how like that impacts. And it does feel like you guys, I mean, Boston is another one who does this really well, have figured out that sweet spot of just next man up. And it's literally just being like, all right, hopefully this doesn't happen, but you could have a game where 4 starters don't play and no one's going to be surprised if you're in it in the last couple of minutes. And how much of that is just sort of like intrinsically, Kenny, but then really just the whole sort of culture that's being built in the organization overall?
Yeah. Mostly that's because of Kenny and the system and having us buy into the system. I mean, you don't have teams like that where you don't have a team like this where people are like, oh, I want to take over the game at any moment, even though we have players like that can do that. You have to have the system where everybody's willing to buy in to be the backdoor cutter, be the guy who has to rebound the ball every single night. I think that's just a testament to the team itself buying into Kenny and his system.
I'm trying to think about the way to like say this in a way that doesn't feel like it's like shading. It's not shading anyone individually, but just shading teams overall or anything like that. But in a league that's like so star driven,
right?
And it's so like, okay, you're this, you're the one on the billboard. You're like having the idea that everyone is going to buy into this. And you guys have a lot of stars on this team. There's a lot of people who, if they were somewhere else where they were sort of like the one guy, they would be in that spot. But at the same point, like, everyone is still a piece of the system.
Right.
You're like, no one person is like bigger than the system.
Right. And that's, it's funny. Kenny will literally say that to us. Like, he's like, Darius, you're so good. You can literally go to any team and be the star player here or there. But here, you're buying into the system. The little things you help do helps us win. I think it's huge. A lot of people don't get to see homegrown teams anymore. It's like you said, it's not against any team. That's just how the NBA works. You don't see teams like us, Boston, I guess Orlando's going towards it, teams where they grow their players into something special. And it's fun to be a part of, and it's even more fun to see probably.
And you've seen this, you've now seen it twice. I mean, you saw it in Brooklyn, it was a little different, obviously, but you've seen this. And are there, you have some similarities with Karis, obviously, some similarities in terms of roster as well, but like, are there similarities in terms of, because that was, and we talked about this a bit last time, but like, that was like the Brooklyn team was just fun. Yeah. I was like, I don't know that anyone thought you were going to win, but like, it was fun. It was like fun to watch. It was like everybody was having fun.
Yes.
And so like, I guess the thing is it, maybe you're the common denominator. Maybe just like create a locker room that's fun and everyone kind of like is kind of chill and you can.
I never thought about it that way, but if it's me, I'm just here for a good time. I'm here for a good time and to play basketball.
I wanted to ask about Don for sure, but before we get to that, about Evan. Just like, he's amazing. Right. And his shooting has gotten better. His confidence has gotten better. Yes. He's still so young.
Yes.
Playing with him, it just, where do you see him going from here with sort of what he's already accomplished?
Right. Honestly, only to get better. Like every single year he's been in the league, he's gotten better. Shooting wise, he's taken a huge leap this year in terms of 3-point shooting. Ball handling, he's a point guard now, basically. He's literally bringing the ball up the court. Darius is setting a screen for him, going to the basket and laying the ball up. Like that's some guard stuff right there. And I only see him perfecting these things even more just to get better.
When you watch him play sometimes as another all-star big, is there not like jealousy, but is there a level of like, I can't believe this guy can do some of this shit?
With anything, it's like, man, he gets to do it. Why can't I? Knowing damn well if I tried that, I would turn the ball over in a heartbeat. It's so cool to see, but I know I need to stay in my lane. You've historically, they're incredible players. So I don't want to jinx anything, but you've played really well against Jokic. You played really well against AD. They put their numbers up because they always do, but like you just have played them really well. Right. When you look at like the modern big
now, like the modern sort of like dominant big. What's your like approach with those guys? And then also like, what do you think like the younger bigs coming into the league should learn about the position?
What do you mean by modern big? There's no more modern bigs anymore.
So this is okay. So if you're you coming out of school and you are like you exact you
right
coming out of school and you want to be good in the NBA.
Okay.
What do you do?
The funny, I had Brett Bromeyer as a coach. He's in Orlando now. His big thing was like build a foundation to build a house. So, I mean, we would work on the most like mundane things. We would literally spend 30 minutes throwing a football, like when I was a rookie, so I can learn how to like properly catch a ball. And this, like, if you're big, like that came out like at me for the draft, you just gotta be ready to learn anything. Be ready to take the fall for some stuff if you don't catch the ball the right way. Honestly, just have a good time. It's going to be up and down.
See, vibes.
I'm a good vibes only. That's all I'm about.
What do you think about those? I mean, Jokic in particular, he just like the stuff that he does is crazy. The passes he makes are crazy. And
unbelievable.
And you just like when you're playing against somebody like that, you're trying to you're not going to lock someone like that down, but when you're trying to slow somebody like that, like what do you even do?
Yeah, you just do the best you can. Like it's literally incredible how many passes he makes where you're like, well, like I tried. Like, it's just, there's nothing I can do about it. And it's just on the guards, gotta do better next time.
And that's like it's interesting. It's kind of an interesting thing with you guys because when you have multiple guys on your team that other people probably feel the same way about. There's an element a little bit of like, all right, well, like their turn down, he does his thing. Our turn down, Evan does his thing, or Don does his thing, or whatever it is. And I guess maybe that's just what the NBA is now.
That's what everybody wants in the NBA. Just it's not always take your turn, but basically, pick your poison.
with Don in particular, I mean, when he came, last time we did some stuff with him last year. He was still kind of adapting to everything. His pedigree speaks for itself. Everything about it speaks for itself.
Yep.
Just him as a force.
Yeah.
As a teammate versus having had to play against him a couple times a year every year. What have you even noticed in the first, 6 weeks of this year that feels different than even did last year?
I guess his willingness to like let Darius and Evan do their thing. He doesn't have to be the guy every single night. What was it? In like the Philly game, like he was going for the triple-double. I think he had like 15, 10, and 9 at one point. And then he started throwing some BS passes trying to get his triple-double. And we're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, just score the ball. And he scored like, I kid you not, 15 straight. So when he knew it was time for him to get going, he just got his own.
He has done that so many times. And this has always been, I guess, the case with like, truly elite guards who have the ability to go do this. But does it ever still surprise you when you have someone who is you're in the NBA and you can just go and take over a game like that. It's not college. It's not high school. You're in the NBA. You're the best players in the world going and doing that.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. And like every team has that guy, but to be on the court and like have to pretend like you're going to get the ball knowing, no disrespect, pretend like you're going to get the ball and Donovan just scoring every time. Like, I'm just like, give me my popcorn. Like, I'm just watching them go to work.
This is a kind of aside. What's the backstory with the frog?
Oh, I love the frog, by the way.
When did it even come? I saw it like a week ago. I don't even know like where it came from.
So I was doing research. The Instagram page has been around since we were 4-0. I don't know where it started.
4-0 this year.
Yeah, 4-0 this year.
Okay.
I don't know where it started, where it came from, but it has been around every single game.
Like you were shouting like last game. You're like, give me the frog.
Yeah, give me the frog. I'm for this frog. You want to ask me why I'm playing?
You're like, when you guys are 29-0, you're like, it's that frog Facebook page. Cleveland in particular, Catherine was telling me before about an event you're doing, this a Thanksgiving event.
Yep.
It's like a budgeting event, and I wanted to hear about that in general. But just like it's a great city. I spent a lot of time there. Great sports city. Fans like really give a shit, which they don't everywhere, and they really care there, and they especially care when you're winning. So you're just like adjustment to it now. Right. Just with you as a person, less like basketball, and you just kind of like getting used to the vibe of the city.
Right. I mean, you don't hear a lot of great things about Cleveland before you move there. You know, like your friend Jokic.
By the way, what's crazy because he loves your team, and I think he likes Cleveland, but he'll never. That's his lights moment. Like,
he would never live it down. And the thing about it is such a and I'm not even trying to hype it up because I live there. It's such a nice city with like great people who, like you said, truly love like sports there. Yeah, like the people. You could be 0-15 and people are going to still show out and sell out games for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, there's a lot of cities that are like, but something about like certain Midwest sports cities where they just lock in.
Yeah. It's literally, they're prideful about it. You know?
Do you have, you have to be careful with this answer because you don't want to give up your spots that you actually like your happy places. You know what I mean? But it's always, I always find it like, I would ask you this if we weren't taping the show. I'm always like, all right, someone's coming for like 36 hours. Okay. And it doesn't have to be food. It could be food. But it's like, you're coming for 36 hours. Like this is where you got to hit. Right. Just on a not on a, I can find this on Google vibe.
Any time of year.
Yeah, any time of year.
So one of my favorite things to do is like around playoff time when it starts getting warm. There's like this hill on like Edgewater Beach or like Edgewater Park. And like me and my fiance, we go out there and we just sit like with a picnic blanket. We'll bring some like drinks to have. And there's like people like paragliding over us. You can see the birds and stuff, ships going by. Like it's genuinely.
When does it get too cold to...
It's getting cold now. Like you can't really. We had our last good day yesterday, I think.
I feel like Thanksgiving. I think Thanksgiving is like the break. Yeah. It's like once you hit the mid-November, you start to be like, yeah, I could do this, but I might get hypothermia.
Exactly. And I felt that yesterday.
I feel like it's an interesting city because it feels small, even though it isn't. You know, like the metro area is big. Yeah. The other thing with it is people, and this is now not like. I don't think is a secret by any means because like LeBron, even with Akron, was like this with Cleveland too. Right. Like the Kelseys are like this. People really rep the city when they're. It's like one of those places where they're like, you could have not lived in Cleveland in like 15 years, but if you ever grew up around Cleveland for whatever reason, you're from Cleveland. You're not from LA. Like you're not from like DC or whatever.
And you know what's funny? It's amazing how many people are from Cleveland. You know, it's like Kid Cudi, the Kelsey brothers. The Paul brothers, I mean,
I was thinking this
big name right now, you know.
Did you watch the fight or no?
I did watch the fight.
Are you mad you watched it?
No, I mean it was something to watch, you know. I mean, the fight was what it was. It was entertaining.
Also, to be fair, we didn't pay. I'm assuming you had Netflix. So
Netflix.
We didn't pay for it.
Right.
So it's not like you dropped $90 on something and you're like, shit, I want my money back.
Right. It was already. I mean, if you could watch the fight, I was buffering for like 5-10 minutes. I pulled up a stream of somebody videotaping the actual like scoreboard.
Oh, they were saying Antonio Brown, football player, he had 6 million people watching on his Instagram because he was at the game.
Yes, he was I think it was a stream of somebody else's stream of his stream.
Do you think that this is the big question with all this stuff now is, so Netflix is doing they're doing NFL games on Christmas. And I love Netflix, huge Netflix fan, go watch something on Netflix every day. But I'm nervous about the live stuff. I feel like the live stuff is tricky.
You know, it's Amazon Prime has done a good job, in my opinion. You know, I watch Thursday night football games on there. Yeah. I didn't get a good first impression from the fight and how much buffering. You know, I think they can pick it up and turn it around. I'm interested to see. It's
one of those things that the fight was one thing, but and it was a huge audience, but football is a different beast.
Yes.
And if you got like a Steel, I don't know what the game is, but you got like a Steelers Ravens, like Sunday night Christmas game that's like deciding the one seed, and you're just buffering
with some diehard fans.
You're gonna get some.
Yeah, your numbers will drop.
Yeah, you're like, it's just like that needs to be. This is like a warning shot.
Yeah.
Who's your team?
I grew up with the Dallas Cowboys, so I'll root for the Cowboys.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's very tough right now. I was born into it. My dad on Sundays, we couldn't go anywhere because we were watching football.
Has there been any part of you? I say this having grown up as a Cubs, Bears, Bulls, all those teams never won anything. Yep. Is there any part of you that's ever wanted to cut bait?
No, I've stuck with it as long as I can. I'm not like a diehard. I don't have a jersey or anything, but I root for them every single year. What
are your outside of Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings? What are your favorite movies?
Favorite movies. Let's see. I'm reading the book of them right now. There's this movie called Annihilation. It's like a sci-fi movie.
So I've never seen it. I've heard amazing things.
A great movie. Oh man, like trippy movie. It is just good all the way through for me.
Is it more sci-fi or action? Like in terms of what you want?
Sci-fi. Like cosmic horror. I love cosmic horror. What else did I watch? I love watching The Thing, like the old thing.
Classic.
Classic. Anything cosmic horror, I love watching.
I think the thing which is amazing, to circle back on the Lord of the Rings thing for a second, I think what's amazing about that is that's how long did it take you to do it?
I read The Hobbit as well, so it took me like a year and a half to 2 years.
Okay, good. Yeah. So like I say, this is like it's a true undertaking. It is not like, we're binging a show. We're done in 3 weeks. Like no, you're fully.
I was there with Frodo and Sam. I brought the ring. I brought the ring there.
I was gonna say the next off-season trip you're going to New Zealand is go hang with Peter Jackson.
Yeah, just the whole set.
Is there a hobby that you want to do that you have not had the bandwidth to actually pull off?
What has it been recently? I want to get back into. It's more of getting back into things because I have so many like stuff like for my hobbies.
Yeah,
I want to get back into keyboards, mechanical keyboards.
What about like making them or just playing them?
Making them, like no, like actual like desktop keyboards.
Like a keyboard for a computer.
Yeah. Like you don't know, but that world is huge.
What's the process of even? I have no idea.
Yes, it's like building Legos, in my opinion. Like, except you have the easy route where you can just plug and play, and you have the other route that I did where you like solder all the pieces together and stuff like that.
Has the technology gotten any better in terms of? I mean, I guess the hard route is like this. You're still
It hasn't really gotten too much better. I guess they're coming out with different type of keyboards, but the hardware is basically the same.
So you were doing this before, but you feel like you fell off.
Yeah. Because I bought I'm getting into it. It's like an ortholinear keyboard.
Yeah.
So you know how like keyboards are usually like staggered in each row.
Yeah.
So like Q would be above A, like directly above A. Yeah. It'd be just a rectangle.
So the ortholinear keyboard is just
it's a different type of keyboard, and I want to get back into making those.
If you hypothetically your laptop right now, hopefully this doesn't happen, but somebody spills tea on it,
right,
and your keyboard gets fried. Are you going to the Apple store or are you fixing it yourself?
I'm not an Apple guy, but
I need this.
But I had a Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus for like 5-6 years. I fixed it every time. I replaced the battery. I replaced like the charging port. I did it all.
Would you ever get like, not like insecure, but did you ever get like anxious about like, oh, I I mean, I guess if it's busted, you can't make it worse.
Right.
Because the worst case scenario it doesn't work, then you go get a new one. But
it's kind of, I'm the guy to back up everything.
Yeah, so she's got everything.
I have a backups of backups.
It isn't the keyboard thing is a good hobby. It's a very specific.
And you'll be surprised how like expensive that stuff gets.
Yeah.
Like just it's a niche hobby, but that stuff can like start to get expensive.
Did you ever get into cars or ever think about trying to build like especially with the electric stuff?
This goes back to my hobbies. I tried to build an electric skateboard.
At what age?
4 years ago.
How did it go well?
It got way too complicated. It's about like how you wire batteries in like series and parallel. Like I didn't have that much time to get into it, and it's just like I had to cut it there.
Here, well, my ultimate question is, which is unanswerable for the foreseeable future, is going to be what the hobbies are going to be when you don't have to play basketball.
Right.
Because then it's going to I'm going to build an amusement park.
Right. Like a handmade amusement park.
Yeah, like we're talking about building keyboards now. And
right. When they have all this time. I genuinely don't know like what's in there for the future.
Were there other people, was your brother like this? Or were anyone else in your family like this? Or you just were always?
No, I mean, I've always been this way. My brother's always been this way. We like taking stuff apart and putting it back together. It's how I was raised.
By the time this comes out, this is probably going to come out Thursday. So, knock on wood, you guys are 17-0. But
right.
looking forward, and we're going to do, check-ins throughout the year. So we'll be trying some crazy stuff on the show, but looking forward for the next, the next 6-7 weeks for what you guys have coming. What do you feel like the keys are to just basically keep this up, to keep the momentum? You're not,
right.
You're going to win a lot. Maybe it's not going to be every game you're going to win a lot, but just how do you keep the vibe at the level where you're at right now, where, everything just feels across the board like it's clicking?
Right. Obviously keep the good vibes up, even if we inevitably lose, just still keep the vibes up and don't be complacent. Like, we're going to have one of the best records in the league, most likely. So like, just try to keep on improving. I think that's our biggest thing, and something that we still do now. We still try to improve on something every single game. So if we can just look on how to get better, we're going to be fine.
What's funny is like Max isn't back yet. Like the cavalry keeps coming.
Right.
That's what's kind of scary when you look at it.
Yeah.
You're like, this is it's not like everyone's no pun intended, like maxed out of what they can do. Like there is it feels like it's on the way up.
Yeah. And it's like, there's role players, but those role players are great role players. And they can shine at any time.
Yeah, I'm like, Max helped take a team to the NBA Finals.
Yeah,
like
literally.
If you have that dude coming in, fitting into parts like this, that's a pretty good place to be in.
So I think hopefully we'll be fine.
Well, Jarrett, thank you for this, for joining the crew.
Yeah, appreciate
you. For this initial check-in. And you guys will be seeing him trying. I don't want to spoil anything we're going to do, but I would say that based off this conversation, you'll see it may be a little different.
Yeah, hopefully there's something.
What you would usually expect.